This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Rachel Fife.
Well, welcome to the Good Neighbor Podcast. Now, if you have a loved one or aging parent and you're looking for a residential care facility, well, that resource is closer than you think. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing your good neighbor, Lance Bryant, with Tranquility Senior Living. Lance, how's it going?
Good. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Rachel.
Well, I'll tell you what, we are really excited to learn about your business and family owned business, I believe you said. So tell us about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Mission Viejo, Orange County, these areas it's very predominantly residential care facility owned. A lot of facilities are open up in Mission Viejo. And so me and my family are a family of nurses, me, my sister, my mother, stepfather. And what we do is we have several residential care facilities spanning from Costa Mesa to Mission Viejo. And we take care of elderly with, diagnosis Alzheimer, Parkinson's, some more alert. And we have several facilities so we can accommodate all sorts of different diagnosis and prognosis.
Wonderful. Well, now, how did you get into this business?
It started with my folks, my parents. They're immigrants. They came here and they started in the medical field and built up some experience, and then they opened the very first one in I believe 2011, and we've been doing it ever since, or 2009 rather. Yeah. So I took up college while I was still in high school to be a nurse, and then shortly after that, I started working for other residential care facilities to build up some experience. And then in 2020, I opened my own.
Wonderful. Well, now, what do you think are maybe some myths or misconceptions in your industry?
I'd say the biggest one that we're constantly fighting is that, and it is getting a little bit more outdated, so it is getting easier, but there is a misconception that, these residential care facilities are homes that are kind of, they're going to smell like urine and they're not well managed, and that it's for lack of a better word, it's kind of like the children's lazy way of, instead of taking care of mom or dad at home, they're just kind of throwing mom or dad into a home and, kind of being negligent children. And I would say that, you know, given the variety of different diagnosis and prognosis, being a caregiver is absolutely a full-time job. And being shamed for not being able to provide for yourself and your family, put food on the table, work full time, and then also do a secondary full-time job of taking care of mom or dad, when they might have wandering symptoms, or severe like gastrostomy tube care, a lot of things that go into caregiving and the difficulties of dealing with the elderly population. So I'm constantly trying to convince, families that, the residential care facilities are not that, you know. And so as soon as we are able to tour them and kind of show them what we're all about, our activities of daily living, what we do to promote quality of life in our facilities, it kind of puts their mind at ease. But at first, there's always a little bit of hesitation, especially when you're first exploring an option for, you know, I can't do this anymore. I can't manage the children and my husband or wife, and then my full time job and taking care of mom and dad. It can be very overwhelming and a lot of times an emotional transition for a lot of these families.
Wonderful. Well, now we know marketing is really the heart of every business. So, how are you finding your clients or patients or what have you?
So I'll say we're pretty blessed in that we don't do much marketing. We rely solely kind of on word of mouth. This is actually my first time doing any kind of digital social media marketing because I'd like to say I'm very proud of our service that we do, and most of our clients, they come from referrals on word of mouth, and then there's also placement agents that they work with. They're bigger companies that they take families. They have leads on families who need the care, and then they'll send residents to us. But we haven't really found any difficulty with marketing, and I'd like to believe that's largely in part to do with the quality of our service.
Hmm. Hmm. Now,
Mhm.
I always ask, have you ever thought about doing your own podcast by any chance?
No, I don't think I have the gift of the gab like you do, Rachel.
So you're doing very well, though, I must say. Okay, now
Thank you,
outside
thank
of
you.
work, outside of work, Lance, what do you like to do for fun?
Um, so, I have an 8-month-old daughter, so that takes up a lot of my time lately, and I am married. But for fun, I would say I'm an avid golfer. And then, just spending time with my family. Right now, I mean, yeah, I don't know if you have kids, but at this stage of my life, it's all about you know the family, and so fun is kind of on the back burner in comparison to like the overwhelming happiness that comes from this transition in my life, which is all newly found astronomical amounts of love and enjoyment you get from the
Mm,
little one.
wonderful.
Yeah,
Well, Lance, please tell our listeners one thing they should remember about Tranquility Senior Living.
sure. You know if you really look into it, what kind of sets us apart is that there are a lot of residential care facilities in Mission Viejo, Costa Mesa. I think there was like above 130 in Mission Viejo alone, and that's just because it's a wonderful place to retire. But what sets us apart is that me and my family are all nurses, so we design our facilities like a home because it's residential, and when you want to put mom or dad somewhere, you don't want it to feel like a hospital with these IV poles beeping and this clinical feel to it. So you get a home, but then because we're nurses, we run it behind the scenes as clinically as we can, and that's taking vital signs every day, pushing for daily showers and exercise, and having facility programs, and having every activity of daily living, and promoting as much quality of life as we can with having continuity of care. So we coordinate with all primary care physicians and their specialists, which I think that's really what sets us apart, is that medical management behind the scenes with still having that homey environment for mom or dad.
Wonderful. Well, how can our listeners learn more about Tranquility Senior Living?
There's a lot of placement agents that are in Mission Viejo if you look online, and I'm sure a lot of them know us, and they'll be more than happy to point you in our direction. But we are full a lot of the time, including right now, but we do take a wait list, so maybe go online and look up some placement agents, and they can point you to us. Or, I could also list my email address through this podcast if anybody would like to get in touch and know more.
Wonderful. Well,
Mhm.
Lance, I really appreciate you being on the show, and we wish you and your business really all the best moving forward.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnporangecounty.com. That's gnporangecounty.com, or call 714-941-8862.
Awesome. You did a great job, Lance.